Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Barnes, and I am the Director of Policy and Communications at the Clean Energy Business Network. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on the American-Made Solar Prize Challenge. I'm joined by my colleagues Lynn Abramson and Zanab Mirza, and we're so glad to have you on the line today. A few quick housekeeping items. So we are recording this webinar, and anyone who's registered will get a link to the recording afterwards. So we'll have that, available, should be available within a day or two. In addition, we do have a chat feature. If you do have questions, please go ahead and submit questions there. So really quickly, a little overview on the Clean Energy Business Network. If you could go to the next slide, Lynn. Great. So the Clean Energy Business Network is the small business voice for the clean energy economy. We work on policy, market and technology information, and business development. So we have a little over 4,500 folks in our network. And, this is a very diverse network, folks working in everything from wind, solar, efficiency. If you could go to the next slide, Lynn. Great. So again, we have a very diverse subset of technologies as well as geographies. And like I said, we really work with folks in our network to educate them on policy, give them opportunities to engage, and then lift up stories to help amplify and tell their message about the great work they're doing. But then on the business development front, we also really try to work with them to help them navigate challenges that many small businesses face. One of those challenges is navigating the funding landscape out there. And so I'm glad to report, if you could go to the next slide, Lynn. Great. That the CEBN operates a clean energy funding database. So this is a really great resource for folks, at the early end of the business spectrum that are trying to find funding opportunities. So we really try to populate this with resources from the federal government, state governments, other entities, incubators, accelerators, et cetera. So feel free to check that out on our website. But today, we're here to talk about the American-Made Solar Challenge. So if you could go to the next slide. Oh, wow, we have curtains. I wasn't even aware we had curtains. This is great. So the American-Made Solar Prize, we're all here to talk about this today. So just a point of clarification, the CEBN is a part of the American-Made Network. There are, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 entities in the network that helps to promote the prize and also serve as support for the participants. So we are not affiliated with the Department of Energy. However, we are serving in a private capacity to support the project. And I would encourage you to go on the American-Made Network website as well and check out the network. There are a lot of great organizations on there that are doing great work and can help you connect to folks that are, active across the clean tech innovation ecosystem. So next slide, please. So we are about to enter the ready phase. So I will say this several times on the presentation. The deadline is this Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So to submit your application, please get that in before 2 p.m. That is a hard deadline. So once we get into the ready phase, then there will be 20 to 40 winners, and then the set phase, another 4 months, and then the final phase, the go phase. So that is the structure of the contest, and the goal is really to accelerate, great ideas that are out there and help push them forward to help advance solar manufacturing in the U.S. Next slide, please. So this is actually the fourth iteration of this contest. DOE launched it in 2018. We are going to be hearing from folks that have participated, I believe, in all three of the rounds that have already been completed. So we are about to enter the fourth round. As you can see, it's kind of like you're at the mall and there's a little map. We are here. So we are about to start the Ready contest of round 4, and it'll extend for 4 months, another 4 months, and so a year total. Great. So, Lynn, if you could jump to the next slide, please. So who can compete? Any team that has a U.S. citizen that is able to represent it can compete. The AMC Challenge welcomes scientists, students, and faculty from academia, entrepreneurs, anyone really. Just as long as your team is willing to base its business plan in the U.S. And you have a U.S. citizen who can represent the team. So that means foreign nationals can participate just as long as they're U.S. citizens able to represent the team. Next slide, please. Great. So we're going to get prepped for the Ready contest. Hope you're ready. Again, the deadline is this Thursday, October 8th, 2 p.m. So, high level, hopefully you're aware of the elements of the application. There's the 90-second video, answering 4 questions and additional information. We have a link right there to the official rules. I highly suggest you read through those. It's broken out by section. So, before you submit your application, maybe a good idea to scan the Ready section just to make sure you're compliant with everything. A quick note on the video. There was a webinar last week that the AMC folks put on, tips and tricks. They highly recommended that you go onto the HeroX platform and just take a look at the videos of past participants. It really helps you get a flavor for, what a good video looks like. So please do go check those out. And another thing they mentioned is don't worry about it being, professionally produced. No need to, hire a professional filmmaking team or anything. It just needs to be well thought out. So that was the way they put it, which I thought was a very good way of kind of capturing the spirit of it. So, Lynn, if you could advance to the next slide, please. So great. Enough of me speaking. I'm really excited to have our panelists today who are joining us, who have all competed previously in the challenge. They have advanced to various rounds. So from left to right, we have Tom Keister, the CEO and founder of Resilient Power Systems, Adam Windsor, co-founder and creative director of Asoleo Solar, and Jenny Yoshimoto, the founder of Terra Solar. So really excited to hear from our speakers today. I will go ahead and pass things over to them. They will tell you a little bit about their companies, their experience with the challenge, and then afterwards we will have a little moderated discussion, and at that point we'll open it up to questions. So with that, I will pass things over to Tom.
Hello, my name is Tom Keister, and I'm with Resilient Power Systems, and we were the winner of the round 2 of the Solar Challenge, and one of the 2 winners of that. And so Resilient Power Systems is a company that we co-founded in the Austin, Texas area, actually around Georgetown. And we're a manufacturer of solar and storage converter products. Could you go to the next slide? Yeah. Resilient Power Systems has over 100 years of experience, and you can see from this picture that you're looking at that this was pre-COVID, no mask. This was the team that we had and thought that we could all take a look at the time before COVID. But at this time, our team has grown quite a bit, but that's our initial product development team. And we built upon the ideas that we had all learned over time in creating new products for lots of different markets. And so as you see in these other companies that are represented here, we thank them for all the opportunities that they gave us to learn. Next slide. Our applications include the solar and storage, just like we mentioned earlier. They also include wind, EV chargers, microgrids, substations, transformers, and medium voltage DC. We've got pilots running in every one of these opportunities right now, and that was due to our being a part of this Solar American Challenge, the American Solar Challenge. If you look right here at at the pictures that I've showed you, in yellow, it kind of illustrates our device at a substation. That's in the left-hand top corner. And then right below it is a green distribution pad-mounted transformer, which is another one of our products. And I put a competitor site picture in this, and that you can see that's a step-up transformer with lots of other control boxes and other switch gear and things like that. But if our box was used in this site, it would only require the one little green box you see in the circled picture in the picture there. Our product has lower system and product costs, higher performance and efficiency, more reliability and more resiliency. And one of our biggest things is that we're multifunctional. So if someone wanted to have EV or electric vehicle charging or things along that line, it could also be bidirectional storage. It could also hook up to a solar, all within one green box there, as you see. And so we also eliminate the step-up transformer. So it makes our system higher performing and also something that's attractive to a smaller size in large cities and stuff. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it. And now I'll pass it over to Adam. Adam, take it away.
All right. Hi, I'm Adam Windsor from Osileo Architectural Solar, and I was a competitor with Tom in round 2. I made it to the finals, or I was a finalist in round 2, and I started with quite a bit less experience than Tom and his team. I was just a freelance visual designer working on some product design and exhibit design projects, and I heard about the solar prize from an event similar to this one, and I had an idea on how to make solar panels more attractive. And so I threw together that 90-second video and answered the 4 questions. And much to my surprise, actually, I was a semifinalist in the ready stage of the round 2, and got $50,000 to develop a working prototype. And you can go to the next slide. So the problem is solar panels are boring and awkward. 40% of people who want solar but don't get it cite aesthetics as the number one concern. Next slide. Some designers and architects are doing some pretty interesting and beautiful things with integrated solar. Next slide. And so some of the most beautiful solar installations in the world right now are with building integrated photovoltaics. Next slide. But the building blocks the architects and designers have to use are the solar cell. It's square. It's got parallel lines on it, and pretty much every solar cell and solar panel in the world nowadays has this one pattern. And think if a fashion designer only had one pattern of cloth to work with. You wouldn't have as many possibilities. Next slide. So my idea was to redesign the functional electrical contact on the front of a solar cell using artistic principles. And this is one of our first prototypes, working prototypes that I made with help and funding from the American Made Solar Prize. And those silver lines are the conductive pathway that electrons that are generated by the photovoltaic process use to get into the circuit. And we can create our decorative solar cells using the same equipment, the same materials, and for basically the same cost as a standard solar cell. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, there we go. So our either one works. One of our main innovations is making multiple different cell designs that can be combined in different orientations to create a large-scale pattern across the entire solar panel, and that breaks up the surface and makes it interesting to look at up close and from far away, and prevents that utilitarian, monotonous view that you usually get with large solar installations. Next slide. And so we're focusing on bringing solar down off the roof and utilizing sunny high visibility areas in residential and industrial applications. Next slide. It's really exciting. So I got the $50,000 from the ready stage of round 2, and was able to create that functional prototype cells that you saw in the earlier slide, and that was enough to bring me to the finals of round 2, where I got another $100,000 plus $75,000 in vouchers for the national labs. And using that funding, and I should also say, even more importantly, the expertise and connections that the American Made Network provides, we're still going strong. We've got 10,000 of our second generation prototype cells coming from a commercial manufacturer this month, and we're going to be sending those out to 2 commercial panel manufacturers for pilot panel manufacturing. And we have some small installations lined up for once those are in. And we're really excited about where it's going. Something I never could have done on my own. I didn't have any solar-specific expertise or experience before the Solar Prize. And the American Made Network and the Solar Prize just opened up the whole industry to me, introduced me to academics and industry professionals who were experts in the field. And they gave me everything I needed to be able to turn my artistic designs into functional, high efficiency and beautiful solar cell designs, and I'm super thankful to that. And if I can do it, then just about anybody can. And so I'm happy to be part of this and answer any questions once we get to that stage.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate it. I'm not sure if you were on that webinar last week, but the folks at the AMC Challenge gave you a shout out as a competitor that, as you were saying, you had no experience in the solar sector before, but this really served to springboard you into it. So, if you have any concerns about whether or not you're too early, their advice was just apply anyways. With that, I will pass things over to Jenny. Jenny, take it away.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Jenny Yoshimoto, founder of Terra Solar, and we're developing a simple assembly solar kit. You want to go to the next slide? So I started thinking about this kit. I'm also not a solar expert. I'm a geneticist by training. But when we moved to our home here in San Antonio, I was doing tons of home improvement projects on my own. I was doing flooring and drywall and tiling, but I learned that there wasn't a real good solar option. That comes from a variety of reasons. You know, people don't necessarily want to climb up on their roofs. It's dangerous. You have to have a really solid electrical background, and you have to have really great roof conditions. So like Adam mentioned, there are lots of obstacles when people are considering solar, and it takes a lot for them to be able to be comfortable with solar, to be able to execute that. So a lot of those reasons include ease of installation, cost, aesthetics, and transportability. People want to know that when they invest in solar, that they're really getting a good bang for their buck. So if they don't know that they're going to be at their current residence for the next 10 years or so, it just doesn't seem like a feasible option for them. So we're developing a solar canopy. It's a real simple pop it up yourself option. This is designed to be completed by 2 people in under 3 hours and with no technical experience necessary. So right now we're working on an all off-grid option. So this would not require an electrician or permits, and it could be applicable for a wide variety of applications. So this would be great not just for residential, but for rural use. You could picture it out powering your well water pump, or it could be used for disaster recovery or military use. Essentially, the goal is to really increase the accessibility of solar power to more people and locations in a way that's affordable, attractive, and transportable. Next slide. So I was thrilled to be a part of the American Made Solar Prize competition. I actually applied during round 1 when my idea was completely different. It was just 180 degrees different. I was brand new with that idea and pretty much on my own. So I was super early stage during that round 1 competition. But then I got the comments back. I kept improving and developing, and I reapplied during round 3. I was able to win as one of the 20 finalists for the ready stage of round 3. And with that $50,000, which was just this past spring and summer, we were able to develop and really advance our product tremendously. So we were able to go from essentially having no prototype at all to having a completed prototype, our proof of concept done, and we were able to complete a lot of customer validation, which was really critical. We were able to connect with a lot of solar installers and found out that this would be a product for them as well as your average do-it-yourselfer. So for the solar installers, they'd be able to offer this to customers who don't have great roof conditions or who are looking for a more affordable option or who want an off-grid option. So in performing that customer validation through the American Made Solar Prize contest, it really opened up a lot of doors for networking, both with customers and other partners. So one big thing that the American Made Solar Prize pushes is to really get in there and activate your network. So they have a tremendous, strong network of partners that you can work with, bounce ideas off of, and we were able to take advantage of a lot of those. The main ones included Carnegie Mellon, and they were able to offer us advice from business development to intellectual property protection. It was really great. And then here locally, we were able to connect with Texas State University to complete the National Science Foundation I-Core program, which is another customer validation program, which was tremendously helpful. We could compete in one of their venture contests and won it as we were doing the American Made Solar Prize. So the American Made Solar Prize really launched us into that as well. And we're continuing developing our products with them with a senior engineering design team. So that's awesome too, that we can involve young engineers and get them excited about this experience as well. So that's our short story. In the bottom right here are pictures of possible locations that include tiny homes. And we're probably going to partner with EcoCentro, which is a community garden space here in San Antonio. It's used for educational purposes to teach the community about gardening in their own homes, and our solar canopy would be perfect for their use for irrigation. So it's really exciting, not just to be partnering within our community for development, but also to get our products out there for community-minded projects like that.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenny. Really appreciate that. And I think, your story is really a good example of, again, just getting that application in and the value of hearing feedback from expert reviewers, right? And taking that feedback to heart and going at it again. So with that, we can shift now to a little discussion. I've got a few questions lined up here, but again, please if you have questions, please go ahead and submit those in the chat. We'll try to take as many questions as we can, but for now, I've got a few lined up. So for starters, what makes an application competitive? And we can go in order of how you presented. So Tom, if you want to take that first one.
Besides meeting the program requirements, I believe it's embracing the program's objective to accelerate and sustain your business. In other words, it's an effort to contribute to growing it's important that your company timelines and objectives are in line with this program objective. And I think that for us, that was we had to rethink some things with respect to our timelines and the timelines of the program.
Okay, great. And Adam?
Just to, step back to an even more basic level. When, I was kind of self-conscious when I was creating my application. I kind of cognizant that I was an industry outsider and wanted to, do something that was cool, but also that made sense. And I think it was really important. I did a lot of research. I spent a couple of days on Google, going through my list of ideas that I had, seeing have they already been done before? Have people already put work into this? And, some of my ideas that I had, they were already being commercialized. I just hadn't heard of them before, so I didn't pursue those. Some of them I found out people had worked on it and found a really good reason why it was a bad idea, and so I didn't pursue those. And I also looked through a lot of the submission videos from round one, which had come before me, and now people have the opportunity to look through 3 rounds of submission videos. And there were a lot of people out there who had submitted. It looked like they worked really hard on a video and a submission for ideas that were just not good, for lack of a better word. They hadn't done any research to see if what they were suggesting was feasible or even followed the laws of physics. And so I would just say, do your research, make sure you have a feasible idea, and that you're not duplicating work that other people have done before. And I was lucky enough, one of my ideas, the one I went with, I couldn't find any reference to it anywhere online. So I knew at least I wasn't copying somebody else and that no one had disproven it yet. And it's been a good track to be on.
Great. That's super helpful. And I think your idea falls into a unique bucket. We can get into that a little bit later on the IP front. So Jenny, any concluding thoughts on that first one? What makes an application competitive?
Yes. Comparing between my round 1 and round 3 submissions, I could tell that a big part of what made my application so much stronger was the team that I had built during that time. At first, it was just, me by myself, and I didn't have the background or the resources really that I think would make me an attractive competitor. But since then, I just had to keep putting myself out there and, trying to form partnerships. And it takes a lot of asking to find really good, solid team members. But during that time, we built out a really strong team with great resources, and it's excellent. I'm really thankful for that push that kind of forced me out of my comfort zone to be, cold calling and asking people, hey, do you want to meet, to really be forming good connections.
Great. So next question I have for you, are there any common mistakes or trip-ups you'd recommend avoiding?
Yes, this is Tom Keister. I would say it's always desirable to produce pleasing art as your video, but there's a reason why there's really experienced people in this field, and actually concentrating on the content over the, I guess you would say, the aesthetics of it, at least at the beginning, so that your message you start understanding your message is really important. And I think that we learned that lesson, and as we went through and started even, talking to people and finding people who had some experience so that they could help us, so that we could spend more of our time doing the other things.
Don't be afraid to bug your connectors and to reach out to new ones. When I first won the Ready stage and got the $50,000 to get started, I kind of didn't know what to do next. And I, sent out one or two emails to people kind of politely asking what they thought I should do next. And they were busy and didn't get back to me. And so, like a month and a half, just kind of waiting for things to get rolling. And then I finally kind of started following up with people. I got some people on my side, and they were, luckily for me, more aggressive than I was in bugging people to come in and get me what I needed. And that, snowballed into where I went from basically a napkin sketch to a functional prototype in, I think, less than 45 days, less than a month and a half. I did my CAD drawings over Christmas break in December and had a functional prototype in hand by February 1st. And that was all because of these great connections I had, and because my power connector went to bat for me in getting them to help me out. So you can do that to yourself, and I think I could have gotten even further if I had started earlier. So don't be afraid to reach out to those connectors.
I hope you've got that napkin framed. Pretty valuable napkin there. Jenny, any other thoughts on that?
Yes, I think the biggest mistake would be not applying, which probably seems obvious, but you never know if your idea is a good one until you try it. So I could see the gap in the market when I applied during round one, and I knew it was there based on talking to a ton of people, and they were all, stating that yes, the do-it-yourself solar option would be a great idea. My design at that time was not nearly as feasible. So when I kept advancing, I didn't really plan to apply again to the American Made Solar Prize because, I got turned down once. So it's like, why would I reapply? I'm not what they're looking for. But then I was encouraged again by the directors, Debbie and Sarah, to reapply. And I'm so glad that I did. So pulling up that old application, I could see how far I had advanced. And I was like, oh, no, this is a solid plan now. This is a good idea. And I had that customer validation. So my advice for that would just be go for it and apply. In looking at the different competitors' videos, it was really surprising to me to see the wide range of expertise and preparation that people had put into their applications. So it went from like really a sleek, smooth video with a huge team of people at a university working on a project to, a guy in a chair being like, well, here's an idea. So it could be anyone who's chosen. They are really looking for good ideas that can advance and not just for the flash of a beautiful presentation.
Great. It sounds like a theme we're hearing is it's not in necessarily the aesthetics or how you present it, but kind of the heart of the idea itself. So all three of you have advanced, to varying degrees in this competition. So that means each of you has, heard back from the expert reviewers. So just to give folks a better idea of those interactions to perhaps enable them to better tailor their applications for that audience. What feedback did you receive from NREL on your application that might apply to other competitors? So
Yes,
Tom, we'll start with you.
Okay, yes. They gave us a lot of good feedback, and that feedback was all pretty tremendous to help us advance. One of the things that they helped us with was they told us that we needed to focus more on why this hasn't been done before and what prevents others from duplicating our work, since we're trying to build a business here that can be sustaining. And of course, I'd just like to put in, that it's always a slippery slope of determining how much you can say about your key innovations without giving away valuable information. And that's one of the things that I've really been taught by lots of people, that you need to practice on having the ability to talk about your key inventions without actually giving away every bit of valuable information you have on it.
A lot of concurrently to going through the go stage of the Solar Prize, I was also in the Clean Tech Open, which is a business accelerator for clean tech companies or clean tech startups, and I got a lot of good training from them on what's called lean startup methodology, which really focuses on finding the market for your product, making sure that a market exists. And I think Tom and Jenny have both mentioned some things in that related to that. And every time I got feedback from the Solar Prize, they were asking questions along those lines, like you need to validate your market. You could have a really awesome idea that has some sweet technical wizardry behind it, but if nobody's willing to pay for it to happen, then you're never going to increase adoption or manufacturing in America, which is, of course, the Solar Prize's main objective. So I was lucky in my first submission. I kind of felt like there was a market there. I didn't really show it. They gave me a pass that time, but both for Set and Go, I focused on that, and they still said I needed to give more information along the market and the numbers behind it, the manufacturing costs, what prices the market would bear. That's a really important thing that I think is kind of glossed over in the prize rules, but they really it's important to the judges.
Yeah, I agree with what Adam said. It is important for the judges to see that you have a strong market strategy. I heard that from the NREL judges and from the different pitch competitions that I've been at. Like, how are you going to make this viable? Who is your customer base? Things like that. A lot of that, it did help to go to that NSF I-Core. I did the regional one, so it was only 3 weeks, but it really helps build out that market strategy. And for me, NREL also suggested how to protect my IP better. And as a result of that, we applied for 3 provisional patent applications, and they're all patent pending right now. So that was great. And they had recommended building out a stronger team between that round 1 and round 3, which we were able to successfully do, and we're rocking and rolling now.
So, Adam and Jenny, you had both mentioned other organizations that you had interacted with. Jenny, you had mentioned Epicenter, and Adam, I think, was it Techstars or Clean Tech Open, maybe? Clean Tech Open, great. Tom, did you interact with any other entities across the clean tech innovation space that were helpful? And if so, what did you get from those programs?
Well, our power connectors were very helpful, but we also have been selected for the Techstars acceleration program. And their feedback has been also just in line with a lot that we got from NREL, and even a little bit more detailed in some ways. One important feedback that we really practice a lot is what I was referring to earlier, and that is what we commonly call our elevator pitch, which is really something that I believe would have took me almost a half an hour to say prior to joining, getting involved with these programs that we are. But now it's down to a couple of minutes. But even that is not enough, because you need to be able to adapt it to your audience. And so one of the things from my answer before, where the feeling was is that we had not really told them a lot about about why somebody else couldn't do it, because we talked in very highly technical terms. And it was, as an expert, you might have understood, nobody's done that, nobody's done this. But you need to adapt your pitches and your explanations to your audience so that they can understand.
I agree with what Tom said about that, about adapting to your audience. We applied for many different pitch competitions and incubators, and we were pretty successful with that. But it was a pretty steep learning curve along the way to figure out who is looking for what, whose panel of judges is made up of investors and whose is made up of, mentors who wants to help you develop your products. And it's sometimes it feels like hit or miss, because you don't necessarily know who your judges are going to be for all these contests. But the more you apply for, the better. Our goal starting out was if we apply for 20 different funding mechanisms, then we'd hopefully get one. And that felt good to me, because then it was like preparing for a series of no's, which made each no feel like, yay, a step closer to our goal, instead of like, oh no, it's somebody else who doesn't want this, So we were able to achieve funding before 20, which was really exciting. But it was really cool to learn along the way how to really tailor your applications to who you're pitching towards.
Right. I don't know if you have thoughts, Adam, on nuggets of wisdom that you got from other organizations.
We went through the Clean Tech Open, which was a 10-week kind of boot camp on startup business. We learned all about pitching investors and getting our financials together, and the legalities of behind business. It was just really eye-opening as someone who'd never been in a startup before, and really invaluable information that I wish maybe I'd had a little earlier. And that's the same. That's the same lean startup that they go through in the I-Corp program as well, I believe. There's a lot of just open information on the internet you can look up on YouTube and get a lot of this information as well, without even having to apply to an organization. But between that and the American Made Network, those were my two main resources for getting this off the ground.
So each of you, I think, had briefly touched on intellectual property. So this is obviously something that, early stage companies have to be very mindful of. So could you very briefly kind of touch on how you approached IP and how to protect it while also keeping maybe your legal costs down? Tom, we'll start with you.
Yes. So almost all methods kind of head you towards a patent. And so we had already been awarded some patents and got patents even while we were in the program. But a small company, protecting IP means more than patents. A larger company really isn't often very concerned about you and your patents. that makes it mean that being smart, not only with the technical, but business information, you need to protect it through how you talk about the things you're trying to sell. And the program was the challenge was really highly supportive and almost constantly reminding and giving us feedback on the importance of IP and protecting it. So even though sometimes there may be a question about it, it was always very upfront talk about only sharing what we really needed to try what we could. So I think that's most people will respect that. But as a small business owner, I always put a lot of trust on being awarded a patent. But that's really not the end. That's only the beginning.
Yeah, my innovation was, a little maybe unique so far in the prize, in that it was an aesthetic innovation rather than a technical one. We were using all established methods and materials, manufacturing processes. Nothing new there. We were just making it look better, and that actually isn't covered under patent law. Though we wanted to make sure, so we actually used some of our funding to hire a patent attorney to go through our innovation with us and to do a thorough search of U.S. and international patents to make sure we weren't infringing on other people's work, and to see if we had a case going forward for patents. And it turned out in our attorney's opinion that we probably couldn't patent ours due to its aesthetic nature, and U.S. patents are basically only for utility cases. So there's actually another kind of patent called a design patent, which we did apply for and is pending. But the core of our IP strategy actually is ending up to be copyright and trademark, similar to other more aesthetic and design focused businesses. And there's drawbacks and pros to that. For instance, trademark and copyright both have a much longer protection terms than a patent does. And so it was an education learning all that, though, because I didn't know any of that before I started. So it's definitely something I'd recommend anyone to consult with experts to learn where your idea or innovation fits into the intellectual property landscape, and it's definitely worth taking the effort and time and expense to make sure you're covered there.
Interesting. I mean, even though your situation is unique, I think it illustrates the importance of still doing your due diligence to explore what else is out there. Jenny, what about you?
I'd say I'm kind of in the middle between Tom and Adam in that my product uses a lot of off-the-shelf products to build it, but it's also a large part of it is aesthetics. So we went ahead and did 3 provisional patent applications, and for those of you listening, you can do this on your own. This is cheap, and you can check out a book from the library by NOLA Press, and it walks you right through it. So if you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, this is a way to get protection for 12 months. It's not reviewed by the patent office. It just protects your idea while you're essentially shopping it around to see if it's a viable commercial product. In that time, the goal of this provisional patent application process is that you would determine yes or no, this can make money, and then if it can, you would file for a full utility patent on that. But yes, we're also pursuing a design patent and still looking into that. I've noticed in these pitch competitions that investors really like you to be talking about patents and intellectual property protection. I imagine that Adam, I don't know if you do many pitch competitions or applications, but that always seemed to be something that I was dinged on before I had applied. So I would say that it's important for those reasons. But like Tom said, it's not the end of the road there for your IP protection. You have to keep following that up and consulting with experts about how to keep your product protected.
I've done a couple pitch competitions as well, and that's always a question.
You really channeled the DIY spirit there, Jenny. It sounds like with your IP, but very helpful to know that option is out there to protect yourself temporarily, for super cheap. So, final question I have for the panel, and then please do feel free to submit a question if you have one in our chat. What is one piece of advice you would like to leave our audience for those that are about to submit their applications?
I begin with the end goal of this competition is pilots to develop your business and lead to sustaining it. We saw that eventually, and so we decided that we would use the prize money and offered it as a means to contribute to the pilot purchase for our potential customers. This convinced our potential customers at that time, they are customers now, to consider doing a pilot with us simply because we thought so much that we would invest our own in it. In the end, if we had not won the challenge, we had already really gotten all the commitment from all the pilots anyway. So I would say that offered us a way of that normally may not be available to you to convince your customer that you're in too.
Adam, what about you?
Let's see. What was the last question again?
Sorry, I kind of rushed through it there. What is one piece of advice that you would leave for folks that are about to apply?
I think, let's see. I used up so many of my advices in the previous sections.
That's okay. You're full of great advice. We could pass it over to Jenny if you want to take a second. Jenny, I don't know if you have any, what is your key piece of advice you would leave with folks?
I hit on this before, but it is customer discovery. So that is critical not just for this competition, but for developing your products overall. I can't tell you how helpful it's been as we are doing customer discovery, how we also at the same time made excellent partnerships and found great resources, different grants and competitions to apply to just by talking to people. Right now we're at the stage of customer discovery where we're actively shopping our product around, saying, what do you like about this? What features don't you like? What features would you use the most? And it is really strengthening our offering. So I would definitely recommend that. And as I mentioned before, the NSF iCore program was tremendously helpful in helping us learn how to talk to customers. Because it's not just, you don't want to approach a customer and just be like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? And ask them a leading question. It's about asking them, have you ever considered solar? What are you thinking about it? And letting them speak and listening to them to really hear what the customer pains are there. So the customer discovery is great, not just for business development, but in this competition, the American Made Solar Prize, we were able to identify partners and use those letters of support to really strengthen our application there as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great advice. And I feel like I should echo it a little bit. But also, maybe to go on another track, just make sure you, and this is something I said before, make sure you take advantage of the network. The American Made Network and NREL and the national labs, just so many people who are experts in their field and have wide-reaching connections throughout the entire industry and academia. And especially if you're coming from outside solar and the industry, those connections are probably worth more than the money. if I had just gotten the money last year, the $50,000, and I hadn't gotten all those introductions and all that help from the more established people, then we would have gotten to the next stage of the prize, and I just would still have the money and nothing else to show for it, and I guess I would have, renovated my kitchen or something. But I wouldn't have a solar company right now. And so I'm more thankful, I think, for the network and the connections and all that expertise. Is the most valuable thing I got out of it.
Great. Thank you for those bits of advice there. I should mention, I've been flagged here. So the deadline to apply is actually 3 p.m. on Thursday, October 8th, not 2 p.m. I was going off of what was on their website, but I guess it's changed or was posted in error. So just keeping you on your toes there. And also I should mention, so our team is happy to review your submissions. We've got 48 hours left, it looks like. So please feel free to send those our way. My email is listed at the end of this slide deck here. Should you feel like we provide value or help in any way, please list us as a connector. We would appreciate that as well, because there is a recognition award. So I would like to turn it over to Lynn, actually, my colleague, who will handle the audience Q&A portion.
Great. And actually, I apologize for the confusion. One of our participants did note the 3 p.m. deadline, but I do see on the website it does still say 2 p.m. So I guess double check in the rules, but if you want to be safe, get it in by 2 p.m.
Yeah, that's probably better be safe than sorry.
Right. We've had a few great questions come in the chat. One, this is just a quick technical question this is actually for Asaleo, but Adam, so as far as your design, I don't know if you have determined this yet through your testing, but are there any sacrifices to the output power per unit area with the intricate design of your solar panels?
Yes, just a little bit. And it depends on the design. What you saw in the slide deck was some of our first proof of concept designs, but we're actually pursuing a lot of different variations, and it's a pretty flexible innovation. And really what it comes down to is how much of the silicon are you covering up with silver, because that blocks light and decreases efficiency. Our first generation cells had quite a lot higher silver shading than a standard cell, so they suffered some efficiency there. But on our subsequent cells, we're really improving that and improving the efficiency while maintaining the aesthetics. And it's kind of an art form to balance those two things. But we do take a small hit, but it's not a very big one.
Great, that's really helpful. And then I guess also a general question for everyone. Did you see any other competitors in the process where you felt like there was a complementary value, and did you find any opportunities to collaborate with other competitors?
Well, here's something funny, Lynn, is that Adam and I just messaged each other over LinkedIn saying that we should work together.
Yeah, we're in different rounds, so
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in different rounds, so I hadn't really heard.
The same thing. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we were in different rounds, so we didn't really interact before this panel. But
right, I was like, I want to get one of these that has Jenny's pop-up design with its pattern. It's beautiful. It's great. Anything else that any of you would add on that front?
So actually, my technical advisor who helped me do this is actually Dr. Ben Damiani, and he was one of the final winners of round one. And he's an expert solar cell design in solar cell design and manufacturing. And his solar prize winning innovation was a solar cell that its electrical metallic contact was cheaper and more efficient, whereas mine's more expensive and less efficient, but adding on the value. So I actually worked with him to make the prototypes, and we're continuing to collaborate on this front. Because we're working on the same part of the solar cell, just with completely different goals in mind. And so that's been it wouldn't be possible without him. And the reason I met him was because he was a prior winner, and the solar prize introduced us. So that's been completely invaluable.
That's great. And I guess another question. We'll just wrap it up with two more quick questions, and then we'll let everyone go. So I think both Adam and Jenny kind of stressed the importance of just apply, even if all you have is an idea, and there's really no such thing as too early for this prize, which I think is such a unique feature, and it's a great point to stress. But is there such a thing as too mature? And I feel like we've referred some companies before to the prize that may have been a little bit too mature. And Tom, it sounds like your technology is a little bit further along in development. So I don't know if maybe you have some insights on that.
Yes, I think that Jenny's and Adam's idea of applying and sorting out with the goals. I think that the overall objective of the business is of the program is to generate and accelerate business for American solar manufacturers. And so I think you should contact and submit your application and see if and look at what you're trying to accomplish and see if what you're trying to do would accomplish that for this program.
Great. So I guess really think about how you align with the goals and making sure you would benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
and
the
then
program.
I guess final. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So sorry. Go ahead, John.
No. You said it well. Thank you.
And I guess final question, we'll leave everyone on this note, but is there anything else that you can think of that you would add as far as why you believe your application was successful and how that might be providing a helpful insight to other competitors? And just generally speaking, that's for all of you.
I guess I could go first. I think a lot of what helped me go as far as I did was just kind of the out-of-the-box thinking. It seems like everyone I talked to about my idea kind of went through a really quick thought process that you could sometimes see in their face, which is, kind of surprised, like, oh, that would never work. And then thinking about it for a second, maybe, would that work? Does that work? And then, oh, if that worked, that would be really cool. And getting excited about it. Sometimes, in just 10 seconds, you could see that kind of thought process going through their heads. And a lot of people in the industry I talked to kind of did that. They thought, oh, that can't work. If it worked, it would have been done already. But it hadn't been. Just no one had thought of it. And so having something, I think that's the real benefit. That's what they're looking for, is ideas. And the reason they're opening it up to everyone is to get those outside ideas that haven't been, closed off by years of kind of I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of, just the way things are done. So don't let the fact that your idea is a little bit left field or out of the box get in the way, because I think can be a huge benefit.
I agree with that. And I would say that I got the feeling that the American Made Solar Prize is about investing in people as it is about investing in the product. So they want to see those new ideas like Adam was talking about. From a lot of times it seems like people who are outside of the industry right now, just bringing in new good ideas. So to show that, it really helps to show your network connection and your solid team, that you've got it well built out in each aspects that they're looking for. So it'd be, like your design and development team, your business marketing team, things like that. So showing that there's a strength of people there as well as the strength of your idea was really helpful.
Great. Tom, any last thoughts?
No, I just would say good luck, and I hope that it's the one thing on the program I can tell you that I experienced is that it's ran very transparently and very you get out of it what you invest, and I would say there's a lot to be gotten out of this program. And so just good luck with your application and the adventure of going through this.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps up our questions. I'm going to say a huge thank you to panelists, Tom, Adam, and Jenny. Really appreciate you, taking your time to speak to those on the line here that are about to throw, their names into the hat. I really hope folks out there have gotten some value out of this discussion. Please do see the Clean Energy Business Network as a resource. We are happy to review your application, last minute. And I will note again, there is a section on there for any connectors that you may have worked with or collaborated with. If you've gotten any value out of this webinar or any interaction with us previously, please do list us. We would really appreciate that recognition. So with that, I just want to thank you all for joining us today, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.